All right, folks, to our next story. You know, perhaps one critical problem with the electoral process in our country is voter apathy. Of course, this is not helped by exposure to political messages all year round. On election morning, many electors stay home in protest, yet elections, as they say, belong to the people. The off-season governorship polls held in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states, for instance, in Kogi, Usman Ododo of the All Progressives Congress, APC, was declared winner of the exercise. The candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Murtala Ajaka, has rejected the result, but vows never to contest it in court. To him, this will be a waste of time. Now, the candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Leke Abejide, also vowed not to challenge the outcome in court, urging his supporters to take it as an act of God. Mojid, an act of God.
Yes, no, like we said earlier, especially in Kogi, most of the principal actors are either members of the APC or former members of the APC. So you see that they have roots in APC. At the last interview that Abejide had, he said he campaigned for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes. He bought vehicles.
He bought vehicles. That's Leke Abejide of the ADC. So that kind of person who scored, less than 50,000 votes. I mean, what was the point going to contest and a result in court when it's not the APM presidential candidate? You know, and the judge, the justices of the Supreme Court had to ask their lawyer, what is your interest in this case? Why are you coming to the Supreme Court? What is your prayer? What do you want to achieve by bringing this kind of case? And their lawyer, the counsel, now said, my lord, we are sorry, sir, we are withdrawing it. And so they struck it out. So that's why Ajaka and Abejide would not go to contest. Of course, Murtala Ajaka made a very, very good showing with 256,000 votes. 210,000 votes more than Daniel Melaye, because at least they have told us his full name now. It's Daniel, claiming, saying it's Dino.
Dino, the name Dino is actually an Italian name. So it's a Nigerian bearing an Italian.
And you know, that person, Farouk, that just spoke with us on Dino, he made that statement before April 16.
This year?
This year. This is November, because I watched him live. That statement was made before April 16. He said they already predetermined who will win the PDP Kogi primary. And he mentioned the name of Dino. And Dino won the primary on April 16. For somebody who used to be a journalist, that's Farouk, who used to be a journalist and also a former chairman of Algon
in
Kogi State. You don't joke with that kind of person. So when you impose candidates in a party that is not that popular in Kogi, this is the kind of result you get. Dino came third in his Ijumu local government, defeated by Ododo, and Ajaka came second. He came third in his own local government.
He's asking for a cancellation?
So which cancellation is he asking for? Who is listening to him? On the day of his mega rally, at least we have between 13 and 14 PDP governors. Only the Demola Adeleke, the governor of Osun State, attended. Only Ademola Adeleke. Even Atiku couldn't go there. So you see some of these signs and you see the result. And Natasha Apoti, people thought he would garner some favor as a result of Apoti's and Apoti Uduagan's victory in the senatorial district. He said, no. Natasha is an ardent supporter of Ajaka. said. Yes, he said, well, my heart is with Ajaka, but my party is PDP. So she was very cautious.
Natasha campaigned for Dino, but whatever it is,
anything.
Ebiras will not see their son on the ballot and go and vote for anybody else. No matter how popular Natasha is. When you asked that question here, I said no. My knowledge of electoral behavior tells me, and this is what I've seen before in that state. You know, I lived there. My dad worked in Okene. I did part of my primary school.
Of course,
I did part of my secondary school.
We went for Baba's
so you cannot
elevation.
say that I cannot explain electoral behavior. No matter who, no matter how strong Natasha is, no matter how much they like her, they will reject anybody that Natasha is trying to sell to them when they have their own son on the ballot and is the only one from the area.
Yeah.
If there is competition, for example, maybe the votes could be divided, but he's the only one coming from Kogi Central. So they united behind him. The same way that they united against, in favor of Adamu Ata in 1983. Yeah. Despite the fact he eventually lost the election to Siwa Adebayo. But it was bulk vote, tremendous bulk vote, that went to Adamu Ata in 1983. Students of political history in our country will recall. And so it was easy to know that, look, Natasha won't be able to bring votes for Dino. And I said it clearly here when I asked that question. I mean, it's a long shot to imagine that because she won the senatorial election. I mean, that's a different kind of election. Yeah. It was a contest between Ebira's sons, daughters. Ebira people against one another. Yeah. But when you are a solitary Ebira person
against
on the ballot from the old area, and someone is coming from outside of the area,
obviously they will be
trying to contest against that person. They will rally behind their son. This is the way. And they usually vote in good numbers.
And the vote was massive.
What I said to Ayo was 101,000. Votes like Hausas, Hausa Fulanis.
101,000 to 1,000.
Like Hausa Fulanis. And we saw that. You know, I've heard them say that, okay, some of the votes were products of vote rigging and all that. Well, we are not judges. It is the courts that will determine whether indeed that was what happened. But I know them very well. They will never. I saw some of the videos where Natasha was campaigning for Dino, for example. I have no doubt that Natasha wanted Dino to win. But the people will not choose a Dino over their own son.
Okay.
Politics in our country is still largely
clannish,
determined by religion, ethnicity, and other variables. So you do not expect them. Even when you talk, people say, oh, there is Igala agenda. There was also Okun agenda. There was Ebira agenda in Kogi there. That is the truth. We have not reached that point when people will not have such considerations, will subject themselves to some level of this thing. They will still.
It's a crying shame.
It's part of the problem. We were talking about in Benue, for example. Have the Igedes or the Domas been able to even have a shot at the governorship? No, they've not. They've not. Because the dominant tribe will always vote for its own. So this is the thing. It was very predictable that they will not listen to Natasha. Right. Even on that day, there's a video, if I play, you see, she was telling people to calm down. But she was speaking, there were side talks and all that. They had made up their minds that it is their son, Ododo, that will get their votes.
Jamie, the mention of Natasha brings to mind the fact that 83 states, Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa, the candidates, governorship candidates, total close to 50, 51. Only 3 women. Does that bother you? Not bother you?
Well, see, in this part of the world, I don't think we are ready for a female governorship candidate or a female president. Well, we have had an increment in their numbers in the state assemblies and national assemblies, and except probably by default in the case of Etiaba in Anambra.
Virgil
Etiaba. It was by default. So
in Anambra.
Yeah,
was
Anambra.
it a product of election?
Yes. So, but for a product of election, you see, we are still very masculine in our electoral process.
Patriarchal.
We are misogynist.
Yes. So it will take some time. So women still need to try more.
And when you hear women don't like their own, it sounds...
You see, because the thing is, the kind of things involved in a governorship election, a woman can only come in probably from the default position of being a deputy, not as the main presidential candidate. We are very close to it in Taraba and Adamawa, but even in those places, it's even more difficult for you to emerge as a woman in the north. In the southern part of the country, it's still a bit possible. Even at that, no political party, no serious political party will risk fielding a female candidate.
Yeah,
and they don't have the resources.
They don't have the resources that the men have.
Politics thrives.
And the legwork.
Resources. They don't have the resources that the men have.
Maybe that affected Madam Patricia Ete when she was speaker.
No, because Ete was Obasanjo's candidate.
Okay.
They began to fight her from the first day.
Yeah.
Wow.
They lied against her only for them to clear her.
Later.
Months after, once they achieved their aim of kicking her out, they then looked at her matter again and gave her a clean bill of health. I was defending her from the first day because I knew they were a bunch of liars.
Yeah.
The woman didn't do anything wrong. But
they just wanted
to get out of the way. They called her hairdresser, said all sorts of things. Because they didn't want the fact that Obasanjo brought someone for them.
Yeah.
You know, the House of Reps is more radical than Senate. They usually don't like it when you try to impose someone on them. It happened even with Molika, if you remember. They went for Tambua after the AC at the time. You know, President Tinubu and others felt that Molika should have that shot. They would not agree. They even worked against their party to make sure that it didn't happen. So you can imagine, it was Ashwaju and Co. that opted for Tambua. Let me make that correction. Or the PDP wanted Molika. But it didn't happen. So the House of Reps has this history of not agreeing to any idea of some people somewhere bringing someone to lead them. They always resist that.
Aren't you troubled by the attitude of godfathers in our politics? Godfatherism, I hear, is universal. But in Nigeria, they are like substitutes for democracy.
Not entirely so. I also think that, look, when someone helps you to get to power, you need to treat them with some level of respect. There are people who are nobodies before they were plucked from somewhere and made senator, made House of Reps member, made governor. These things happen. But what usually happens is once people have tasted power, the first thing on their mind is to get their godfather out of the way. But at the time when you are seeking election, you are groveling at his feet. You are always treating him with respect because you knew that, look, you must do whatever it takes. You needed to do just to get that ticket. Once they become governor, within a short time they started fighting. Look at even in Benue, Adalia and the SGF.
Okay.
There's a cold war between them that began even less than a week after swearing. So these things happen, and even their supporters. It has polarized their supporters. That is one problem that the APC must resolve before they go for the next election.
I hear we must make some more money. We must go on another break.